And welcome everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the daily space weather. We're looking at the sun on 171 angstroms here to see 0 sunspots. Small coronal hole east of center longitude near the equator. Let's check out the 193 angstroms view, which will give you a better idea of where that's located right here underneath my pointer. Just having formed in the past 24 hours, and these are 48-hour images, folks. South Pole coronal hole looking extremely large, and another more diffuse coronal hole right in the Earth-facing region. We've made a helioviewer video. We're going to show you that in a minute. There is some filamentary activity up in the north. Here's a 171 angstroms view faded to the magnetogram, and you can see a little bit of magnetic organization going on right here around that coronal hole. Not expecting that to turn into a sunspot. And let's look at some additional data here. Here is the helioviewer movie we were talking about. And you see that magnetically suspended sheet of plasma. And for your new viewers out there, 304 angstroms is ionized helium. Let's check out some more data. KP index is at 2. Having come down from those solar storm conditions we saw early in the day yesterday. 10.7 centimeter radial flux, which is a good proxy for sunspot number. Still at 71. X-ray flux has come off the floor a little bit here, but still no kind of X-ray flaring going on. Looking at the real-time solar wind, we see a phi angle of about 300 degrees. Solar wind density around 3 protons per cubic centimeter, and solar wind speed around 400 kilometers a second. Back to fairly quiescent conditions, and there's the corroborative data from the ESA spacecraft. Next, we'll show you the geospace magnetosphere movies. This is 4 hours of data based on the space weather modeling framework and provided by University of Michigan. We see a fairly steady magnetosphere right now. Nothing too exciting going on there, but we compile the data daily. We've only missed one day in nearly 2 years. Next, we'll look at the ground magnetic perturbations. Delta B means changes. In science, folks, when you see when you see delta or the triangle symbol, that typically means changes. So we're looking at changes in the Earth's B field here, folks. Delta B, during this magnetic excursion where we have 2 magnetic north poles and a south pole creeping toward southwestern Australia. Let's take a moment to talk about the funding of the channel. Please consider becoming a patron if you haven't already done so. Patreon.com/smAsho is the true source of funding for these videos, as YouTube tries its best to pay us exactly nothing. And while we have received one payout from YouTube, we don't rely on it in any way, as our channel could be suddenly deleted with absolutely no warning and without absolutely any explanation. So please press like and subscribe over on YouTube, and thanks to all of our latest subscribers. Look for more and varied content coming out. I think we're going to combine a beer review and the 1,500 subscriber spectacular special celebration, perhaps later this afternoon. And we will be making another video also, probably a live stream on Twitch, and we'll upload that to BitChute, I think. So heads up, smAsho staff. Check us out on BitChute. It's bitchute.com/smAshomash. A place where censorship will be much less relevant to your basic life, and they'll pretty much let you upload whatever you want. Let's get back to data here. The auroras are pretty calm right now, and we're not going to play the animation. Ghost magnetometer smoothed out a little bit here. And let's see if we can get any predictive information from the Gong 2. And there's the Gong 2 data. We're looking at the top view ecliptic plane field plot, as if you were looking down on the sun's north pole. And what we see is continued heliospheric current sheet charging by the South Pole, shown there in red. Just please keep in mind, folks, the data is 1 hour and 16 minutes old and that the magnetic environment can change with absolutely no warning. There's the last frame. That one is at 8:04 Universal Time. It looks like there is still a little bit of activity here, most likely south of the solar equator and on the opposite side of the sun. Relativistic electrons currently showing quite low. We're expecting this to bump up a little bit. And there is the GOES electron flux, looking at more normal levels there as well. Next, we'll look at 6 hours of the ionosphere. This one's courtesy of Government of Australia Bureau of Meteorology. And shout out to Terrence, the Peruvian is lovely. Thanks again, Terrence. And Mary, put up a topic in smAsho forum so we can talk about the coffee journey. Anyway, there's the latest image, looking quite normal there at 9:15 Universal Time. Have you checked out smAshomash.org? Well, if you haven't, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, and perhaps go check it out. We're growing our organization. 2020 is going to be a big year for smAshomash.org. Check out the newly unveiled smAsho forum. We've got an extensive data repository, 5 pages long, starting from January 23rd, about the virus. It's the virus section at smashomash.com/forum. Dear viewers, please update the virus section. Here's a current graph of the number of cases of the virus, otherwise known as COVID-19, up to 75,727 cases, and deaths up to 2,129. I would note that H1N1 killed hundreds of thousands of people. And let's go to earthquakes before we talk more human health. Looks like an uptick in small quakes around the world, folks, and we're going to go up the list pretty quickly here. We see a 4.7 at 117 kilometers depth. That's a 4.7 magnitude at a depth of 117.3 kilometers at Indonesia. Big uptick in deep quakes there. Another deep quake in Alaska. It's only a 2.5 magnitude, but it's over 100 kilometers depth. And we're just going to scroll up the list here and not spend too much time on earthquakes. Another 4.8 at Papua New Guinea, and that's at 173.5 kilometers depth. Heads up Oceania, areas north of Australia. Be prepared for a larger quake at the surface, as you have been having an influx of deep earthquakes there over the past couple weeks. Here's another 4.5 off the coast of Oregon. And we've seen quakes happening in that region quite often. Let's just take a quick look at the interactive map. There is the location of that quake. And just going back to the list here, quite a lot of quakes, but nothing over a 6 magnitude, it looks like, folks. So we're really seeing a drought of 7 and 8 magnitude earthquakes here. So if you're in an earthquake-prone area, please have a plan to be an asset, not a liability, in the event of a disaster. As if you're in a disaster and you're wondering when the cavalry is going to arrive, it's probably because you're the cavalry. Here's another deep quake in the South Sandwich Islands. That one a 5.1 magnitude at 98.4 kilometers. Here's a very shallow quake, 200 meters above sea level. It's a 3.1 at Petrolia, California. There's a 5.1 at the Kermadec Islands, and there is a 5.0 at Bouvet Island. And let's move on to volcanoes. Current volcanoes erupting include Mount Aso, flight level 8,000. Kuchinarabu-jima, flight level 3,000 there. Sakurajima, flight level 10,000 there. Mount Ibu exploding, 6,000 foot ash plume there. Mount Takono exploding, 8,000 foot ash plume there. Seismic unrest continues at Samizo Pochnoi in the Aleutian Islands. smAsho. Intermittent low-level tremors and bursts every few hours. And some small explosions on the 16th. Popocatépetl exploding, 22,000-foot ash plume there. And we've got another one on the list. Fuego producing Strombolian-style explosions. Ash plume reached nearly 15,000 feet there. And Rincón de la Vieja in Costa Rica has produced a small eruption with a tremor. So it was measured with an extension with an inflation of volcanic edifice, but not significant. Sangay exploding also, 20,000-foot ash plume there. Revenador, volcanic ash cloud reported. Sabancaya unable to detect. Please don't build a campsite on the slopes of Sabancaya. And Nevados de Chilean still exploding, 12,000-foot ash plume there. Please don't pole vault the caldera at Nevados de Chilean. Let's look at where objects are in the solar system. Here's where things are now. Here's where things are in 1 week as Venus flies past. And the new moon will be on the 23rd. Here's where stuff is above my head. Where were you when Deneb rose? Are you familiar with Cygnus X3, one of the most consistent sources of cosmic rays known to man? Well, the moon just rose, and it's hand in hand with Mars once again. So perhaps get some imagery of that if you've got a telescope. Submit it, and we'll be happy to feature it on the channel. And that reminds me to remind you to follow us on Instagram, as you'll see some material there you won't see other places, like this weird bird that I saw. Check it out. Can you identify this bird?
Does anybody know what this weird bird is?
Here's a better image of it. And I don't know what it is. It seemed domesticated as it wasn't scared. We're going to be doing a beer review of Lucky Streak, probably today, and doing the 1,500 subscriber spectacular special. And check out these cirrus cloud formations we got yesterday. Good times. You'll see some stuff exclusive to Instagram. And let's get back to data. On windy.com, we're looking at the pressure maps. And we're going to let that advance until approximately tomorrow at this time. And I'm going to vanish. Poof! Here's where things will be at 9 a.m. my time tomorrow. Allegedly, according to the GFS forecast. U.S. entirely dominated by high pressure. Low pressure system off the coast near Bermuda. And let's look at lightningmaps.org. I believe there is some lightning striking at the heel of the boot at Italy. Check it out. Some significant bolts just came in near Corato. Hey, Corato. Barletta. There's thunder rolling in. Ruvo di Puglia. There's thunder rolling in. And to that person who was on smAsho.com/forum, please start a topic about it. We'll talk all about lightning. Next, we're looking at the U.S. Doppler radar map to see some snow falling. Even in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Check it out. As well as in northern PA. Let's talk about global warming. Global warming is the cause of meridional jet stream flow. Survey said. Oh, man. Well, it turns out rapid Arctic warming is not what's causing the jet stream to be meridional and causing extreme weather conditions all around the world. Who would have guessed? I guess anybody that understands the first thing about atmospheric physics would have guessed, like this guy. And we've left links to the phys.org article about how the jet stream is not getting wavier due to Arctic warming. Speaking of the jet stream, here's the extreme meridional jet stream flow in the eastern world, where we've got a jet stream flowing backwards here, north of India, where it's doubled and tripled up. Extreme bends in the jet stream. We've got backwards jet stream flow all over the place. Down here off the southwest coast of Australia, where the South Pole is moving, the south geomagnetic pole, that is. Let's look at the western world. And there are the western jets. Again, the U.S. dominated by high pressure. And we're expecting some colder, more winter-like temperatures here in eastern Pennsylvania. And for you new viewers, I'm located in Lehigh Valley. And next we'll show the water vapor map here over Europe and Africa. And congratulations on those folks who have learned something about atmospheric physics recently. Cheers. The reason we look at the water vapor map for you new viewers out there is because when the Doppler radar is not indicating what is going to happen next, the next thing to look at, the next layer, is the water vapor, as the water vapor satellite will show us water not yet condensed onto clouds. Ground-based Doppler radar systems are only measuring vertical motion in the cloud column. We got some extreme dry air here over Montana, and we're going to zoom in on it. And there's that system as some cold air is being injected down there from Canada and creating some convergence zones. If you're flying a plane around these areas, you will see some extreme turbulence as that massive dry air. If you fly from a moist region into a dry region, folks, it's like the plane's flying into a wall. As these massive regions of air are denser than the moist air. And let's move on to talk about Cygnus X3. We've got an extensive section about Cygnus X3 on the forum also, the star Deneb, and I've done some more updating of it today. So if you want to read about Cygnus X3, massive repository of information there at smAsho.com/forum. And there's also a link in this latest article I've posted here about Cygnus X1, which is also a big-time X-ray source believed by people like Carl Sagan and Stephen Hawking to be a black hole. We just call it a massive radio source. And Cygnus X1 is another interesting object, and it is the first object believed by mainstream astronomy to be a black hole. Again, we just call it a massive radio source. Let's talk about Solar Orbiter by the ESA. It's finally deployed one of its magnetic antennae. Great article about it here on phys.org. And what it's showing you here is the interplanetary magnetic field versus its own magnetic field, as electrical wires that are unshielded produce magnetic fields just as a result of current flowing through them. And you can see the spacecraft's field, and then as the antenna deploys, you can see those signals go away. Those are its own fields. And so this thing will be calibrated for a while, and it's going to be sending back data by the end of April, and we are super stoked about the Solar Orbiter, as it'll be studying the solar polar fields, which are not well understood. Let's talk about blazars for a quick moment. Now, blazars are a special type of active galactic nucleus where you're looking directly down this relativistic jet, which makes it look ultra bright and makes it difficult to measure the distance. There is a blazar in the news today about multi-wavelength observations of 1ES1215 plus 303. This is a BL Lacertae object, and if you'd like to read about that, we left links to this article as well below the video. If you want to follow the transients, we left links to that also at the Neil Gorell's Swift Bat X-ray transient monitor. So perhaps follow it yourself if you'd like. Now these are only the X-rays, not multi-wavelength, but we've included it for your convenience anyway. And stay tuned for a bonus feature, Smash Team. And this is 48 hours of the local yellow dwarf in 131 angstroms. Looks like a little bit of activity might be rising there on the east just north of the equator. So that's something to keep an eye on throughout the day. And when I say eye on, the pun is intentional. Look for another video coming out. It's probably going to only be on Twitch and BitChute, so if you don't follow us there, perhaps consider doing that. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And may that solar wind be at your back.